Okay, Jordan. So we're going to take a look at your field goal from this angle. For comparison, I have a video underneath you of Greg Zuerlein from the Rams, just to kind of show you some of the things that could be done better. The main thing that I already saw by watching a video is going to be your foot-to-ball contact and the depth of your plant foot. That's going to fix a lot of things just by improving that. So let's watch it once at real speed. Okay, pretty good. Overall, rhythm looks pretty good. Actually, look at that. Look, you and Greg Zuerlein are moving at the same speed, which is great. Looks pretty good here. Jab looks good. I think first step looks pretty solid as well. Nice light step. I would say maybe if you can, I would just kind of like linger off on the right foot a little bit less. If you compare your step with Greg's step, like right there, versus his right ankle, you can tell kind of right heel. His heel stays off the ground a lot more, so he kind of just hits the front of the foot and kind of pushes off where you kind of sink down. So I would just kind of get rid of that. Try to keep your weight in front of your foot, as opposed to kind of like getting heel that close to the ground. Okay, moving on. Really, you're gonna see backswing looks fine. Really, the two things are gonna, as I mentioned before, are gonna be a better foot-to-ball contact. So here's how Greg's foot looks when it's striking the ball open, toe at about 2 o'clock, hitting the ball at the top of the instep, and then here's yours. So it's pretty relatively open. That's a good part, but you are hitting the ball a little bit too high. And then really the most important thing is, like, if you look at the seam of the football, which part of the foot's kind of hitting it, she's kind of hitting it a little bit too low in the foot, a little bit too high on the ball, as I already mentioned. And what you're going to see is also, and you do the same thing in kickoffs actually, is because this plant foot is pretty far back. If you look at your plant foot, it's about middle of the foot across from the ball, maybe even front of the foot. Where if you look at Greg's plant foot, the whole heel is in line with the middle of the ball, maybe even a little bit in front of it. And that's usually going to cause you to scrape some ground. So really getting that plant foot deeper, where he kind of heels across from the ball, and then keeping the foot a little more open and contacting a little bit lower in the ball, a little bit higher in the instep, is going to help the foot-to-ball contact a lot cleaner. It's going to help the ball rotation. And then let's just kind of keep working, just being as tall as possible with the whole body on contact. If you notice, kind of Greg's body is pretty tall. Here, then here. You got some bending here, there, and then there's this nice little curve right here. So you want to be kind of as straight as you can to transfer everything you have into the ball, essentially. Let's clear all that. Okay, and then overall steps look fine. It's going to be that deeper plant foot and foot position is going to make the most difference. You can really see in this angle right here, this shot is just, you can literally see where you're hitting the ball pretty high. So a little bit lower in the football, deeper plant, to repeat myself again. And the way you can do that is just by drilling out the no-step drill that we do at camps, where you just stand next to the ball and just contact it without taking any steps. It's a really simple drill that can really improve foot-to-ball contact. Okay, Jorn, so looking at your field goal from the front angle, number one thing that jumps out at me right away is we want to align your body, your hips and shoulders, to the space between where the plant foot's going to land and where the ball. So you should be squared right about here, as opposed to right now, if you look at your body, you're kind of squared right about there. So just turn your body where you really want to angle your hips and shoulders more here, as opposed to there. That way you won't be crossing over as much. As you can tell, If you look at Greg Zuerlein's down there, his left foot is kind of pointing there, but his hips and shoulders are pretty much going in that alley between the ball and the plant spot. Going from here, I think jab step looks fine. Still, you want to make sure that if you look at Greg Zuerlein's down below, the jab step should be going towards the plant spot. Your left foot, your first jab immediately puts you across your body. And actually, you're going to see that crossover happening quite a bit, even on your kickoff steps. So you want to kind of do your best to improve that stride at the ball a little bit better. You tend to kind of cross over with the steps on both field goals and kickoffs. If you look at Greg's first step now, it's straight ahead at the ball. So his first step, Greg down below, left foot goes right at the plant spot, the right foot goes right at the ball. If you look at up top where your right foot's going to end up going, it kind of comes across a little bit. It still goes at the ball, but it's mainly because your jab was going too far to the right of the ball as you were looking at it. So crossover with this step, and then you can kind of tell you kind of zigzag. Now your momentum is kind of pushed off towards the plant, and then the things that we're looking at again is just making sure they get a little bit deeper plant foot, a little bit better foot to ball contact, nice leg lock, nice swing overall. Let's just get the alignment to begin with better, and get those steps a little bit more straight ahead and less crossing over, and you'll be in a much better shape to swing straight and transfer more power into the ball. Okay, Jorn, looking at the kickoff approach and contact from the front angle, down below, that's Austin Seibert, the Browns kicker. You've probably seen him at the camp if you were in Ashland over the summer. Looking at the contact right away, it looks like you're going to contact the ball too low on your foot, too close to your toes. If you look at the difference between Austin's foot right there, you can kind of see a lot of his foot on the right side of the ball as he's approaching it. If you look at your right foot, you can't really see much of it, which means you're going to hit it pretty low on the foot. Ideally, contact on kickoffs should be nice open foot, about 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, contacting ball pretty close to the ankle. If you hit the ball close to your ankle and you aim pretty much to strike the ball right above the tee, the bone on top of your foot is going to line up with the sweet spot of the ball, and you're not going to be able to get under the ball ever. But if you hit it low on the foot, close to your toes, it's very possible that you can get too low on the ball and really get nothing on it as far as power or distance. Just get that high, fast spinner. Looking at the approach, I think I mentioned it already on your field goal breakdown. You kind of have a crossover stride. So you're starting off, again, same as in field goals, you're squared up, so your body's pointing somewhere over here with hips and shoulders. If you look at Austin down there, kind of body's squared pretty much towards the ball. So that's kind of what we're looking for, hips and shoulders at the ball. And then you just pretty much ride that line from beginning to the end. Your steps look fine as far as like the number of them, and the stride is good. As far as the speed, we do want to improve that quality of his stride. So if you look at Austin's steps, kind of it's almost like he's straddling a line as he's going at the ball. You're kind of coming across, which could be a natural stride, but that could be fixed too. So all that does is you kind of looks like as you're approaching the ball, you keep crossing the line, with your left foot to the right, your right foot to the left, and that's going to throw you off balance essentially at the end. So you can kind of work on that just by simply running down the line, just jogging, just down a straight line and just focusing on not crossing over. And then just kind of get used to moving at the same speed that you would move on your kickoff approach without just crossing over. It's very common for high school kids, high school athletes not to really have a correct running stride because rarely anybody's really taught how to run. Some people just have it naturally, other people maybe run track, but most guys just kind of figure it out. So yeah, just running more efficiently is going to help your kickoff approach tremendously. Let's see here. Same thing. Plant foot's a little bit shallow, so we want to be on that line. And even Austin right here, he's a little bit shallow, but he really hits a high ball a lot, so it's fine. Ideally, middle of the foot across from the ball is perfect. You're a little bit too far back. Austin is a little bit farther up than you, but even he's a little bit too far back. But also, we want to make sure that the kicking foot, the plant foot, the left foot is pointing kind of straight ahead. You end up coming down a little bit pigeon-toed. And then you want to be as straight as possible with your body. It looks like you're kind of hunching over in your kind of like chest and shoulders, where you want to be kind of just a little bit more upright. You want to have similarly to the field goals, you want to have kind of the straight lines from your ankle to your hip, and then hip to the top. Kind of minimize this kind of like a curvature. But overall, kickoff looks pretty good. Few minor things with again the contact and improved stride is gonna give you the extra yards that you will probably love to have. Okay, Jorn. So looking at the kickoff from the rear angle, the biggest thing that jumps out at me is again the quality of the foot to ball contact could be a lot better. As you can tell, you're kind of coming in with your foot turned over. It looks like you're going to hit it pretty low on your foot, close to your toes. By comparison, there's Austin Seibert, the Browns kicker. You can kind of see how really close to his ankle he actually contacts the football. The second thing that really jumps out is this posture, which is you have a pretty big curvature right here to like around there. You want to be where Austin, you got the straight line, and then it's like pretty straight line here, maybe a little bit curve at the end. So the more curving there is, the less you transfer your power into the ball. So we want to make sure that you can be as tall as possible when you're striking the ball. Plant foot looks pretty decent in this one. It could be a little bit deeper as well, about the middle of the foot across. I looked at the steps from the get-go. Overall, I think steps look really good. Like the speed is good, the length is good from this angle. If you're hitting the ball in rhythm, it really, to me, looks like you should be smashing this ball a lot farther. Generally, if you hit the ball to the right, like you just did on that one, usually it's either planting too far back or just simply contacting the football too low, which is, I think, the case with your kick. So really, just get those steps cleaned up a little bit as far as the not crossing over that we saw from the front angle. And then at contact, make sure your foot is a little more, kicking foot is more open. You're contacting a lot closer to your ankle. So really kind of observe that, so you can remember what that's supposed to look like when you strike the ball. And then just want to make sure you're just a lot more, again, rigid. So you see there's actually, now that I see, there's a bend in your left knee, so that's loss of power. A lot of hunching there, and the top of the part too. So really you want to just try to work on just being really tall on contact, getting the foot open and contacting the ball with the right part of the foot, and you're going to see a tremendous increase in your distance from what you're seeing now. So keep up the good work. You have my number. Give me a call, text me, email with any questions. But I think from these 4 videos, I think you can kind of see where you can invest your time and energy, and you can really fix a lot of things in the next several weeks, month, and be a totally different kicker with another 5 to 10 yards in your kicks. Keep working. Hope to hear from you soon, and have fun kicking.